Hi, people. I want to make a video about this topic just because I can't stand ignorance, and there's a lot of ignorant people out there that think they know everything about everything. And so I'm just gonna like shed some light and hopefully bring in some humour, which means take the piss. And because it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And I'm probably going to get loads of like hate for this video. Just because there is like billions of ignorance. But basically like the people. So I saw this short, right, yesterday. That I was just like, whoa, people are just that dumb these days because of shorts. Like, because our brains are like programmed to just be so impulsive and quick and stuff. And I'm not going to say what the channel was just because like it's just, I'm not going to do that. But basically it's an Islam channel, and the short was a guy trying to bring someone to Islam. So basically there's a teaching in Islam that if you bring people to Islam, you'll go, you got a guaranteed place in heaven. But the ways in which that people like become or be a Muslim, should be a Muslim, not become a Muslim, right? That's a very important thing. Yeah, the ways that people be a Muslim is important. Yeah, you don't want to be a player. Like the way that people are bringing people to Islam is like the short player mentality. Yeah, which is not Islam. It's not Islam. And basically it was this guy asking someone else about following Jesus. I can't remember what the guy said, but the way in which the logic that was used was, why would you follow Jesus? Like, do you want to get married or do you want to have kids? And the guy was like, yeah. And he was like, well, why would you follow Jesus then? Because Jesus never got married and Jesus never had kids. And the guy was like, oh. Jesus was celibate. Jesus had a very good sense of control of himself. Jesus wasn't going around whoring himself out. Jesus wasn't going around like pulling fast ones, catching people, but wasn't really able to keep them. like what that guy was doing, like, oh, I'll just catch this guy and then just as like a quick hit. And yeah, that I've got one target for today. That's not Islam. That's not Islam. And is like on the first page, right, of the Quran, it says God is the most merciful, right? That's what it says. That's what it says. I'm not joking. It's not hard to find. It's on the first page, yeah? The first number one page. And where's the mercy for Jesus? Where's the mercy? Where's the mercy? Yeah. Jesus was a persecuted person, yeah. Like, and if you read all the prophets in all the books, all outcasts. All outcasts, yeah. So, Jesus, like, a lot of the prophets and Jesus didn't didn't come and grow into his gifts until after 30 years old, right? In today's day and age, that person would be labelled with something like one of a neurodivergent such and such a bullshit, right? That's what they would be labelled with, yeah. They would be labelled as slow or like a late bloomer or some kind of bullshit, yeah, because that's what people like to do. And people who are persecuted, yeah, let's not forget what happens to people that are persecuted. People block them on purpose out of envy and resentment and just hate, just general hate and fear and inadequacy that they have from themselves. And it can cause delays in having things like having a family and having kids. I mean, you've got no chance having kids if you get executed, have you? Like, it's not like he was executed when he was old. Come on now, like, that's a big barrier to having kids, isn't it? And this guy claims to be someone who's bringing people to Islam, yeah? There's a very large Muslim population now being persecuted in Gaza, yeah? Very large Muslim population being persecuted, who are being orphaned, maimed, psychologically abused and tortured. They're homeless, yeah? That persecuted people, do you think that they've got the same, those people have got the same kind of success rate for marriage? And like, that's what ethnic cleansing also is. Like, people don't think of things like that. Like, as a Palestinian, I didn't have any granddads. That's not normal. That's not normal. I mean, I did have granddads, obviously, but I mean, like, they weren't in my life. Like, my dad's dad was shot by the Israeli military in the 50s in front of my dad when he was 14. And my mum's dad died when I was 1, which was very young, really. It's no age for someone to die. And yeah, that's not normal. Like, that's not normal at all. But it is not, like, it's not normal. I mean, like, in the grand scheme of like populations in the world, but it's even more common now to see an orphan like in Gaza than ever. Like, there's a group of people that they're the only one left in their whole family line. So, like, what is the prospects for those people? People, and in the Quran, the first page says God is the most merciful. What kind of mentality is? How can you follow Jesus if Jesus didn't have kids and wasn't married? You don't follow Jesus anyway. You just learn lessons from the stories. You follow your own path and you learn lessons from the stories. And you get guided by God and you're open to signs and spontaneity. That's what a faithful person is. That's what Jesus was. And like the prophets, that's what they were. But these, like, loads of Christians preach as well. All these Christians that knock on your door and like, they just try and take advantage of. They try and find some kind of, get you into a position where they can make you feel vulnerable, and so then you'll buy into their bullshit. It's like a dodgy salesperson. When is a faith a dodgy salesperson? Where's the devotion in that? It's just desperation. Where's the godliness in desperation? Desperation is ugly. It's ugly. And there's lots of Muslims in the Ummah means community, yeah, with no understanding of what community is. Jesus so like was a man of the people, yeah, a man of the people. He wasn't just like a slave to one wife, or like he didn't just marry someone for just to have someone to have sex with. Like his purpose was bigger than having a sexual partner. But don't follow Jesus, who was a celibate person. I mean, there's no good example in men being celibate at all, is there? It's so dumb. It's so dumb and ignorant, and like I saw something else the other day as well. Oh, there's a wood pigeon, but there's normally they used to come in pairs. I'm really glad to see one. It's like it's all snowy, like a winter scene, all dustings of snow everywhere. Yeah, I saw another post by English converted. He's a like English imam, but converted to Islam, and it was about pork. Yeah, I mean, I don't eat pork. I don't really eat a lot of meat. I only started eating meat for health reasons, and I listened to my body. So after I got chronic fatigue, I started eating meat. Because I just think it's better to eat meat that's of good quality than to just always have like iron supplements, for example, or vitamin B12 supplements where you could have liver and things like that. That's how it's always better to do that, like, and it makes you like think and just get creative and stuff, and there's always something good about that. But just taking supplements is very unconscious, I think. Well, it can be. And that's an aside. But yeah, he was talking about pork and what the Quran says about pork. And basically, the Quran doesn't berate people for eating pork. Like, it actually says if its circumstances are desperate, you can eat pork. But it also says like don't eat. I'm sure there's something like, I don't know if it's in the Quran, but it's definitely like the sacredness of animals is important. It's not like animals aren't worshipped per se. I think that's another thing that needs to be pointed out. Like, animals are not worshipped, but there is a sacredness about animals. Like like donkeys, you can't eat donkeys, but in Gaza they had to eat donkeys out of starvation, and obviously that's heartbreaking to do that, but it's to show that the self is the most important. Like, you have to think of yourself. Don't sacrifice yourself is a very important teaching in the Quran. So when it talks about pork, it says like preferably don't eat it, but if you have to, then God lets it slide, kind of thing. Like, you get forgiven. It's not demonize people because they eat pork. And like I don't really eat meat, so why would I just add another one to the list? That's my logic, really, for not eating it or anything. And I have had it by accident before, but it's, you don't beat yourself up and stuff. You're not gonna go to hell if you eat pork. There's lots of people that have pork in their diet that I've seen around the world that have got a very good attitude towards community and family and just social attitudes. So like, that have pork in their diet. And also like, God first and foremost cares about balance. Yeah, so what would happen to the ecosystems if everyone didn't eat pork? We would either have no pigs or a lot of pigs, And we have the law of contrast for a reason, because it teaches us things. Like, there's some people that believe that not eating pork, like pork is a low vibrational meat, but I just think that's an assessment from at the time, probably, because, and this is what this guy said in his video, that pretty much all meat farming is low vibrational now, like, which is true. You can't really just say that about pork. It just applies across the board, which is, it's true. You have to just, and like it, I do believe that it's more important that you eat consciously, like what I was saying earlier, which turns out to not be such an aside now, is like when I got chronic fatigue, I just altered my diet to include foods. I'm not one of those that like save the animals. Like I'm pescatarian because of save the animals, like a lot of vegans are. That's just unholy. Like, it's just dumb. It's stupid. Like, and what a lot of people don't realize is in the Quran, like, it talks about the believers and the non-believers a lot. Like, pretty much every page, yeah. Be like, don't be ignorant, yeah. It talks a lot about don't be ignorant, have an open heart, be a free thinker, don't be a slave, yeah. These are very core teachings, not just in Islam, but it is very easily found in the Quran, yeah. It's not that hard to find it. But I think there's only one thing about eating pork. Just one line. Don't eat it. If you can avoid eating it, don't eat it. But if it's like the last thing, it's the last resort thing, no worries. That's what it's something like, that's what it says. That's the message. That's the message. Yeah. But really, like, what, at the end of the day, you get judged by your actions, and if someone's intentions, it's like the guy who's like, don't follow Jesus because it's like always Jesus versus Muhammad. It's team Jesus or team Muhammad. That's bullshit, because at the end of the day, real believers believe in unity consciousness and oneness. The Quran is about oneness. It's not about separation. It's not team Jesus versus team Muhammad. That's just bullshit. That's not the way. That's both of them. Both of them is the idiotic way anyway. They're both in the same camp. Low vibrational bullshit. Like, it's just bullshit. Like, if you really believe in God, that I've said it in a previous video, you have compassion for people's journeys. So where's the compassion for Jesus for being persecuted? Because people caused delays in his life. People deliberately caused delays in his life. People went after him. People targeted him. People betrayed him. People backstabbed him. He didn't have any friends. He didn't have real friends. Being himself got him killed. Why would you live in fear that if you be yourself, you get killed? We need to break that curse. We need to break that curse. That's a curse on humanity. It's a curse on humanity. And that guy was spreading curses on humanity and trying to claim that he was bringing people to Islam. What a joke. What is shameful. It's just an embarrassment. It's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Is that guy following Prophet Muhammad? He's not even following Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad used to go in the mountains and meditate for hours. And his wife Khadija, she used to like just service him like every now and again, pop her head in and give him some food. like that's like a crude analysis. But he did just used to spend a lot of time. They weren't codependent on each other. They didn't have a codependent relationship. Like, I think people should read about the relationship, Khadija and Muhammad's relationship, because they were interdependent, so they weren't codependent. And the guy was like, do you want to have kids and be married? Well, Jesus never had kids, and codependency is a sin. It's a sin. It's a curse. It's a curse. It's a curse on humanity. That basic. It's a basic mentality. It's a pattern that you have to outgrow. Codependency is basically narcissism. That's what it is. It's addiction. It's narcissism. It's self-centeredness instead of self-actualization. It's not actually. It's like it's the demise of mankind, not the elevation of mankind. What the fridge is going on? Maybe there's a wedding. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's loads of people like tooting their car horns. In like a celebratory manner. Yeah. I just think it's stupid. Like people think that Jesus, like he did fatherly things, you know what I mean? There's loads of people that aren't married, but they give a lot to the community and like they do a lot for humanity. And they just serve God. Like they're motherly and fatherly in that way. Or there's people that dedicate themselves to their work, and like they'll write a ton of books and they'll leave a legacy, a scholarly legacy. Which will obviously, like, you know, it adds to the historical record and people can look back on it. And so yeah, they didn't have an offspring in terms of a human offspring, but they had offspring in terms of like artworks or musical catalogue or literary catalogue, or you know, or like, you know, in film, or they were involved in like treaties that caused peace agreements. So, you know, I don't know, you know where I'm going with it. They didn't just like enter into a slavery paradigm where they could control a woman at home. Like, that's not Islam, bro. That's not Islam. That's not Islam. That's distorted masculinity. Anyway, I want to know what all that beeping was. I think there's a wedding in the snow. That's actually quite cool, but it is freezing. It is freezing. Like, I've got the heating on, like, continuous the last few days, which I don't normally do because I'm normally quite like internally warm. And my house isn't getting past 12 degrees, which is just freezing. Freezing. But it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Anyway. Yeah, I just think it's important to actually like have control of your own self, like have control of your own emotions. Don't be easily swayed by bullshit. That guy was so easily swayed by bullshit. What kind of dumb logic is like, That's just so stupid logic. There's just no depth. It's all superficial. The Quran is not a superficial book. It's not a superficial book. Why are people being encouraged to accept Islam from that kind of superficial? Like I said, it's like guys, they just say a quick line to get a girl, but can they keep the girl? No. That's not going to keep, that's not devotion. It's not discipline, it's not devotion. There's nothing deep about it. Like, there's nothing deep about that approach. That approach is just dog shit. It's just, I just wanted to make a video about it because there's so much crap like that. And there's so much pride. There's so much pride in, like, Islam growing, and, like, even though it's still the same as Christianity, really, the same 2 billion people. And there's just as much ignorance in Christians. There's a lot of Christians, there's a lot of black Christians in particular, right, that are just like, oh, we love Israel, yeah, just because it says Israel in the Bible, not really using the brain about what the state of Israel is now, because I've not actually ever been there. Like, there's lots of Christians that have never been to Palestine. Just never gone. Never gone. And the only when I've made videos about this before, because I've been to Jordan, like the Jordan River from the Jordanian side, and seen the people that were getting, like, dunked in it from the Israeli side. It's just fat obese Americans, basically, like, who think they're going to get saved by the river that they've made toxic. But it's just commercial. It's just commercial. But basically, anyone who doesn't know, Israel is racist. It's a racist country. And if you go there on the border as a brown person and a black person, you'll be denigrated. Like, you'll be racially profiled, put to the side, interrogated for hours. I've seen them do it, to split up groups, split up in mixed race partnerships. They even did it to, like, Koreans. They even like held back a whole group of Koreans. That I saw that. So, like, what you got this fantasy about Israel, which is not actually real Christianity, and you're black. And you're black. So just go there and find out. Go there and see how you're treated, and then to see what you come back, tell me what your opinion is. I just can't. I just can't at all. And there's people also, like, this is across both, like, both people that believe in the Bible and people that believe, like, they forget that there's some things that are written that are of the time. So, like, yeah, there's just one, you can't, like, it's like they're stuck back then. Like, they don't apply progress, they don't apply evolution to, like, the Quran doesn't exclude science. The Bible doesn't really exclude science, I don't think, either, but because if that was true, then you would have no, like, all scientists would just be atheists, which is not the case. That's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. And then what was I going to say? Yeah, just use your brain a little bit. Like, what's of the time and what now have people progressed and formed sensible conclusions that is not contradictory to the book. Do you know what I mean? It's just so like there's like the way that people focus on things that really are neither here nor there, like the pork thing. You can actually miss it. It's you can actually miss it in the Quran, but things like don't be ignorant, which is everywhere in the book, like people still manage to be ignorant. Even the people teaching it and like call themselves imams and sheikhs and stuff are still ignorant. So that's not a very good advert. It's not a very good advert for me for just the state of the ummah, because there's no point being in a community that's all like that at ground level. There's just no point, because it's just guiding people in the wrong direction. You're not supposed to guide people in the wrong direction. But Jesus is getting taught, getting judged, and there's no compassion shown to him just because he was a celibate single man doing the work of God that was brave enough to be authentic, but it got him killed. So it's better to be authentic, guys. 100% better to be authentic. 100% better to be yourself. At the end of the day, learning is the most important thing. Like doing better, like, because in one important teaching in the Quran is your actions. Like it focuses on the action, and that's the main difference between, I think, between Christianity and between the Quran. Is the Christianity is like really focused on worship, and Quran is mostly like, as in how you live your life, is there's a focus on action, and there's a focus on action in other religions as well. Like in Buddhism, like people talk about like how to reach enlightenment, but there's not really a such thing as enlightenment. You just do better when you know better, which is enlightened action in every moment. And like approaching religion as kind of like this hierarchy or like a corporate structure that you have to climb, and Muslims think that theirs is the number one, like that their religion is superior, is just stupid, because at the end of the day there's many paths to God, and it all involves what speaks to you. And if you live open-heartedly and not ignorant as a Hindu, then your way of life is actually compatible with the Quran. But if you identify yourself as a Muslim, but you're taking Jesus down, so don't be Team Jesus, be Team Muhammad, even though they both kind of lived similar ways, except Muhammad got married, and that was the progress. The progress was you can have an interdependent partnership. Jesus never got that opportunity because of persecution. But the with Muhammad, the teaching was also empowering for women, because in a way, the woman rescued the man. So Khadija, she rescued Muhammad. So without Khadija, Muhammad would have never grew into the prophet that he was and be able to deliver the message. And even though Khadija died and she didn't really have much of a role in spreading the message of the Quran, that was the other wife that he gets always slated for being a kid. But Aisha, she spread the word of the Quran after he died. So like people should just focus on that, like rather than like at the end of the day, Khadija was the she provided like safety and commitment and nurturing and all the devotional things that are godly, and like is to be able to bring something like, you know, Islam's very short, like it's a very short, the Quran is like a very short book compared with the Bible, but then some of the like the Bhagavad Gita is also a short book. Like it's not like it's the messages that you get from the stories. Like even if you read the Bible in like, even if you read the stories like bit by bit, like it's not as easy to understand. I haven't like, yeah, I don't know, like I just don't know why there's so much focus. There's not as much focus on the messages, even though in Islam that it says, talks about Muhammad as a messenger. Yeah, a messenger. And there's like, it's like the whole concept of gleaning the messages as opposed to like knowing verbatim what the Quran says. like that's lost. And if Jesus did have the opportunity, I believe if Jesus would have had the opportunity to marry, he would have married in a similar sort of dynamic as Khadija and Muhammad, because he was open-hearted and he was serving God, so he would have had a true match, like a true love partnership. But he was obviously just persecuted to the point where he didn't have any chance. And I just think it's actually disgusting that the so-called Muslims watching other Muslims in the majority being persecuted in Gaza, who have got similar prospects to Jesus, and is using that as a selling point to bring people to Islam. It's not bringing people to Islam. Anyway, I think I've just come full circle now, and I need to blow my nose, so I think that's a good point to exit the video. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to read all the books again. It's been a long time since I read them. I don't know why. Maybe I don't. Maybe that's the point. Don't read the books. Just live a good life. No, read the books, but live a good life. Don't be judgmental, because at the end of the day, God's always watching. And yeah, that's it. Don't judge your ancestors. Don't speak ill of your ancestors. Don't use their name to bring favour in another circumstance, and like use their just try and shame them. Like, it's shame, basically. Like, not supposed to have shame. There's no shame in the Quran. Like, the Quran doesn't tell you to live in shame. You have to get rid of shame. Like, as in, not get rid of it and not be like, ignore it and stuff. I mean, like, just not be driven by it. Like, anyway, I don't need to blow my nose. see you in the next video. Bye.